Hello everyone, welcome to another complex numbers lesson. Last lesson you guys learned how to multiply a complex number by a constant, and now we're going to learn how to multiply two complex numbers together. Okay, so let's define two complex numbers. Let's define z as, let's say, 3 plus 2i. Okay, and let's define u as 4 minus, let's say 3i. Okay, so what we want to do now is multiply the two complex numbers together. So z times u. Z times u. And all you have to do is substitute these two numbers in to z and w, so it's 3 plus 2i in brackets and 4 minus 3i in brackets. Okay, once you have done that, hopefully you guys remember how to expand brackets. If you don't know how to expand, you probably shouldn't be learning about complex numbers. But basically you multiply each term by the other two terms in the bracket. So it becomes 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times negative 3 is negative 9i, don't forget the I. 2 times 4 is 8i, and 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. I times I is I squared. So if you get it up to here, you've done about half of it, because I squared is the same as negative 1. Okay, so you have to cross that out, change it to 6 times negative 1. So it becomes so you can copy everything out. You can copy everything else down first, but the 9i, negative 9i plus 8i becomes negative 1i. Okay, so this part is done. This part is done. Now we need to do this part, which is negative 6 times negative 1, which becomes 6. So you just change the sign to 6. So it's just plus 6. Right, because negative 6 times negative 1 is positive 6. So then this becomes 12 plus 6 is 18 minus 1i. And that is the final answer. Okay, quickly try another one. Let's say w equals 4 plus, do a negative 3 minus I, and let's do k. K equals 3 plus, let's do another negative 3, 4 minus 2i. Okay, and find w times k. Okay, get that done and come back when you're ready to see the answer. So w equals negative 3 minus I, and k equals 4 minus 2i. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Negative 3 times negative 2 is 6i. Negative I times 4 is negative 4i. And negative I times negative 2i is positive 2i squared. Okay, and then continuing from that, I'm going to simplify the middle two terms. So that's negative 12 plus 2i, so that's simplified. And then the 2i squared becomes plus 2 times -1, because I squared is -1. So that becomes -2. Alright, and then -12 minus 2 is -14 plus 2i. Okay, now we're going to look at what all of this means, multiplication, what they mean in terms of their geometric representation. So in GeoGebra, I'm going to draw 3 plus 2i. Okay, so 3 plus 2i is over here, z1, 3 on the x-axis, y on the, sorry, 2 on the y-axis, which is the imaginary axis. And then I got 4 minus 3i, which is down here. Okay, z2 is 4 on the x-axis and -3 on the imaginary axis. Okay, now we're going to do z1, z underscore 1 times z underscore 2. Times is the, you can press Shift 8 on your keyboard and that will bring up times. Okay, so then let's press enter and see where this takes us. 18 minus I, which is what we have calculated. But where is it on the geometric plane? So let's have a look. Let's zoom out a bit by scrolling down. And we have Z3 over here. So what is the link between Z1, Z2, and Z3? Well, let's use the geometric function segment between 2 points. Let's draw a segment from the origin to Z1. And you can see that Z1, the length of the line from the origin to Z1, this line here, you can say is the magnitude of Z1, is 3.61. Okay, let's get the line between the origin and Z2. And you can see here Z2 has a magnitude of 5. Okay, now let's have a look at the magnitude of Z3. And you can see here it is pretty much exactly the same as the magnitude of Z1, which is 3.61, times the magnitude of Z2, which is 5, and you get the magnitude of Z3, which is 18. Okay, so that is one of the things you get when you're multiplying two complex numbers together. Geometrically, their magnitude is a product of the magnitude of the two complex numbers. Now let's get their angles. Okay, if I draw an angle from Z1, the line that Z1 creates with the origin, let's draw an angle between that line and the x-axis. So I'm just going to put a point on the x-axis just so I can make that angle a bit easier. So let's get the angle between Z1, A, and B. Sorry, I should probably do that again. So get the angle between B, A, and Z1, and the angle is 33.69. Okay, so remember the angle that Z1 creates with the horizontal is 33.69. And now let's get the angle between Z2 and the x-axis. And it's 36.81. Okay, 36.81. Now, remember that this angle is actually calculated with respect to the x-axis, and the x-axis has an angle of 0. And if you go counterclockwise with respect to the x-axis, okay, counterclockwise, that means to the left, okay, the angle is positive. But if you go clockwise with respect to the x-axis, the angle is negative. So this angle here, angle B, should actually be negative 36.87 because we're going down below the x-axis. Okay, now let's get the angle of Z3. So if you get the angle between 3 points, Z3, A, and B, and you can see here Z3 creates an angle of negative 3.18 degrees. Okay, 3.18 degrees. And if you type in the calculator 33.69, which was our first angle, plus negative 36.87 degrees, you will get 3.18 degrees. Okay, so basically when you're multiplying two complex numbers together, you end up with a complex number where the magnitude is the product of the two complex numbers you have, and the angle is the the sum of the two angles that the first two complex numbers create with the horizontal. Now you don't have to know this that well yet, but just keep it in the back of your mind. When you are multiplying two complex numbers together, that's the complex number you're gonna end up with. And we'll go through all of that later on again to help you guys. Okay, thanks for watching. See you next time.